Hey, I'm Robert, and I just wanted to share with you today, teach you how to plan a fireplace. Fireplace is a great example because it's got so many moving parts and much like a whole house. And planning a fireplace takes some intention, and I thought it might be interesting to know how to do so. So, I guess when you're planning a fireplace, it starts with questions. It starts with what's the design, what are the finishes, what materials are we using, who's needed to accomplish it, and what's the sequence and how the pieces fit together. Just like with anything at Heirloom Custom Homes, we believe that a proper planning process is the avenue to a successful outcome. So these are questions that we ask in advance on it. Sequence is super important on every part of a house, but really a fireplace, because once it's enclosed in stone and finished, the last thing you want to do is have to open it up for some reason. So sequence is important. So those are the main questions that we ask. As far as design, you're going to ask yourself, is it a more modern look, a flat face fireplace in a bump out or in a wall? We're using rock. What kind of materials are we using? This one, for instance, the design is it's got field orchard rock. It's got a limestone mantle, so it has a mantle. It has a rock face. It has a hearth, and a mantle. It's got cabinetry tied into it on the side here, and we're going with a more elegant mantle. So we got about 1.5 inch thick mantle and a 4-inch crown that'll go on there. We have a recessed area above it, which the customer has a piece that fits into that specific size on this one. It'll also fit a TV for future buyers. So that was thought into the design, into the process. And then the big question is, how do all the pieces fit together? So how does the mantle elevation meet the cabinet elevation? How does, what height do you want your hearth at? How does the fireplace balance inside of the big picture, and so on. Materials, you gotta choose your materials. Are you using a gas fireplace? Are you using an electric fireplace? Are you using do you need propane? Does it need to be switched over? And then your framing materials and all that goes into the understructure of it. What kind of rock are you using? Is it dry stack rock? Is it like an open joint fieldstone rock like this, or is it a full granite face? The hearth, what type of hearth are we using? Are we using, in this case, we used a limestone. Limestone is a natural stone. So natural stone typically comes 2 1/4 inches thick, where like a man-made hearth stone would only come 1.5 inches. So we need to know that prior to the framing, so that our fireplace height ends up correct to receive the hearth that we're putting into it, or the mantle we're putting into it. Then again, to the mantle, is it a traditional mantle, like kind of what we're doing here, or is it a rustic, or are there shelves? Are there shelves built into the rock or the recess, or is there cabinetry that ties in? Then we need drywall, we need paint, we need the gas and the electrical to the unit itself, or if we have like TV hookups or whatever else is going into the big picture, that needs to be included. Then we ask ourselves, who's needed to accomplish this? So as far as the who, we need a design, so we need a designer. Whether that designer is like a hired architect, a designer, a drafter, whether it's you yourself, whether it's the builder, whoever's going to put the design together. Then we need a framer to build us the main structure of the fireplace. We need the trades to come in and give us gas and electric and whatever we need for that. Then we need the fireplace installer to come install the fireplace. take the venting out, either through the roof or through a wall, wherever you land in the house. You got to know ahead of time what the code is going to require for that, and is the venting of the fireplace going to interfere with anything else? Are your trusses in the way? Can we get to an outside wall? Can we get to the roof? Do we want to see it from the roof? Do we want to see it from the wall? So all of that has to be thought through in advance. Then after our fireplace is in, we need drywallers and painters in this case, or if it was like a more modern look, we'd be all drywall and paint, and very simplistic. In this case, we needed drywall paint above, and obviously on the sides, rest of the room. But we need a trim carpenter to handle the mantle, the cabinetry. If you had, for instance, sometimes we do shelves along the sides of them, that'll all be trim carpenter, finished carpenters. We need to bring in a mason to do the stones, the hearth. So that's quite a few people involved in one little piece of a project. And then the big thing again is sequence. And these are all things again that we want to know in advance. Prior to beginning anything, we want to know all of this design, we want to know all of these materials, we want to know who's involved. We want to not make sure that we get ourselves into a situation where we aren't able to finish what we started without, going backwards. So as far as sequence goes, again, we choose the design, we choose the materials, we choose the add-ons, the cabinetry, the shelving, we choose the fireplace itself to make the model. We have our framer needs that design. He needs those specs. I already said that. He needs the specs, he needs the size, he needs the design to give us a structure that'll get us where we're going. Then we need the fireplace installer to come, before the fireplace installer, we need the gas to where the fireplace will be, or the electric, or propane, or whatever you're using. So we need the trades to come in after the framer, get us our supply of power. Then we need the fireplace installer to come and install the fireplace. Usually after the fireplace is in, and we're following our design, it's a good time to bring in a trim carpenter, a finish carpenter, or whoever's going to do the mantle, the bookshelf, the shelving on the sides, or whatever is going on. Because like I mentioned, he has to know how he's tying in this and how it fits together. And where rock needs to stop and start, and sheetrock needs to stop and start, so that it doesn't interfere with cabinetry. And does cabinetry need to go in before or after? All those questions. So it's a real good idea to have them involved before masonry. So then we want, let's see, where was I? Fireplace installed, finished carpenter comes in. Then we have an outline of where we need sheetrock, where is stone, so then we can bring our drywallers in to do our drywall, our paint, and then we bring in the masons. The masons do masonry, then our finished carpenters, electricians, fireplace, they come back in and do their finish. Fireplace installer, we do the finish on the fireplace, get it operational, put the final face pieces on. The electricians will come and turn off their outlets. If the gas still needs to be hooked up, it's here but it needs to be hooked up, then the plumber would hook that up, or whoever's running your gas lines, and the trim carpenter would, finish installing cabinets and mantle and whatever else. And then clean up, there's a bunch to clean up. Masons, you don't want to leave they're usually pretty good about keeping things clean, but you want to clean up immediately after they're done, so you're not grinding little pieces of mortar into your floors or whatever. So we want to do a cleanup right after that, and then touch up, and you have a completed fireplace. So the important part again is ask the right questions, figure out your sequence, figure out your materials, figure out all the specs you need to know, who's involved, and plan the whole thing in advance prior to any start, and you'll get a good outcome. So that's what I wanted to share with you. This is how our fireplace turned out. Again, it's the field orchard stone. It's got a limestone hearth, and it will have a more traditional mantle, recess for an art piece, and then cabinetry on this side. And I'm not sure what furniture or whatever goes over in that corner to balance it, but in the big picture, it'll turn out great. So anyway, I hope this helps. If you plan on planning a house, planning a fireplace, I'm Robert with Heirloom Custom Homes, and glad to share that with you. So give us a like if you got anything out of it, and share it if you would. Thanks.